is up, y'all? We are back again this week. 3 episodes in 1 week.
Crazy.
There's something about those weeks that just make me strive for Friday's episodes. Like, on Tuesdays, I'm like, I'm tired. But then Friday, I'm like, I'm full of energy. Let's get it going. It's the end of the week. I mean, I don't know about Sabrina. Sabrina, you're off, right?
I am off tonight. I'm just like a little tired because I came home at 7 a.m. this morning, so I'm a little exhausted. But I'm ready. I'm ready for the weekend. I'm off the weekend, so Let's party.
Well, you'll party while I'm at work. Do you want to introduce today's guest?
Yeah. Today we have no one other than Ed House.
Howdy.
Hi. How are you today?
I am well. I'm going to try to crank up my volume and hope it doesn't crap out. There we go. But I'm good. I'm doing very well. How are y'all?
That's good.
I think I'm okay. I'm breathing, so that's a good thing.
Upright and vertical is a good start.
So usually we always hop always into the episode. So we always start with who or what got you into wrestling?
I have some really, really early memories at my aunt's house in New Jersey watching The Undertaker and Brother Love and being totally drawn in by The Undertaker and absolutely terrified of Brother Love. And then that was maybe 4 or 5. And then as I hit like 12, 13, 14, I was playing with toys with my buddy. We were, it was some Monday night over the summer. He was spending some time with us and we were setting up all these action figures for a fight. And he was like, oh my God, what time is it? I don't know, it's like 9:45. Like, no, we got to watch wrestling. We got to go upstairs and put on the wrestling. Dude, like we just set all these toys up. Like, let's, kick ass. We got soda down here. Like, let's, rock and roll. And we go upstairs and we watch wrestling. And it was Ken Shamrock going against X-Pac. And all of a sudden there's commotion in the background and Shamrock's got an ankle lock on X-Pac. And if you're looking, like you watch wrestling now, it's in that upper left-hand corner of the ring. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden this dude comes down just totally jacked, hops the guardrail, leather jacket, jeans, boots, t-shirt, long blonde hair, sunglasses, comes in and straight boot rapes Ken Shamrock. Kicks him right in the face, spit, sweat, teeth go flying, gets on top of him, starts slugging away, and ended up being Triple H coming back from some crazy knee surgery. And I thought, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And my buddy is losing his mind, just absolutely straight losing his mind. And I thought, well, if he's doing shit, there's got to be a bunch of people who like this. And then at the time it was still kind of cool. And then as I, got older, wrestling became a little dirty. It became a little taboo. And then that's around the time when I started, but it all goes back, to being, 13 or 14 in my parents' basement, getting ready to play with action figures. And I was forced to have to watch wrestling.
But you ended up liking it after all. So, I mean, it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, I mean, it did give me a lot. It took just as much, but it did give me quite a bit to kind of hang my hat on and go, yeah, that's pretty. I got to do this and I got to do that, and I got to meet these folks and those folks, and it's not too bad. It's pretty cool. So I made out okay.
Yeah. So was that like the time you realized that was something you wanted to do, or did it occur like later on after continuously watching it?
Oh no, like that. I was like, I don't know how that happens, but like it's got to be a sport. Like I have to be able to do like, school or whatever, but like there's got to be a way to get into it and do it. And it wasn't until high school, like we wrestled in our talent show, but then we had started to go to some local stuff, me and another buddy, and I was like, man, this is a thing, and it's local and it's so close to home. And then when I started, I was like, oh my God, this is everywhere. How did I not know about it? I mean, the place that I trained was there for like 25 years before I'd gotten there. And it was, 15 miles. I passed it every day and I had no idea it was there. So it was real crappy advertising, but once you're kind of into it, I think no matter what it is, whether it's roller derby or paintball or go-karts or mountain climbing, whatever the case is, when you're into it, there's that kind of niche where then all of a sudden you meet more. Oh yeah, we're going to this thing next week. We're going to this thing this week, and you just find yourself every week. Oh yeah, there's a different place and a different town and a different group of folks, and it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, that's what me and Sabrina were literally just talking about before. We're like, well, we got the whole entire year to go to so many different shows because there's so many shows we want to go to, but you can't go to them every single weekend when you have to work. So it's like fun. We got the whole year. We'll go to all these different ones. So that'll be fun.
But speaking of you drove by this place, who trained you?
So I got trained by Mark and Troy Mest. And I believe they were trained by Dr. Johnny Wildside, or he had a pretty good part in their training. And if I'm wrong, I'm sure they'll beat the piss out of me. But they've been in Blandon, guys with Max Crimson and Cremator, Jim Brannigan, Cabby, Jason Havoc, whole boatload, Joey Greco, Dave Patera, all guys who, Chio Frost, all kind of had a hand in molding a little bit. But I mean, the majority of it, was Troy, because Troy could get in the ring. Mark was a little big. Mark kind of saved that for the shows. And then as I kind of progressed, I found myself with a couple of the trainees. I had met Mark and Troy through Troy's stepson, Brock DeLong, who his buddy I had class with in high school, and he found out I was a huge wrestling fan. He's like, "Oh, dude, my buddy's dad's a wrestler. You should freaking meet him, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Well, I got to get to know this kid, and hopefully he's like not a total D-bag." And he ended up being a cool cat. We have the same birthday. It was really strange kind of how it all fell apart, or how it all kind of fell into place. And then I remember in college, I had to shoot I went to Kutztown University for Fine Arts. And in that, I had to take a photography class because they want you to be a well-rounded student. And I thought if I study art, I don't have to do math, I don't have to write. And then I realized that I was really into geometry, and a lot of art is writing, which you have to ask people for money. And you can't do that and sound like an idiot. So you have to know how to write. And during one of my intro classes, it was intro to photography, and it was all old school photography. So it was developing film in a dark room, pitch black, you can't see anything. And it's not like it is in the movies where there's that red light. It's pitch black. You can't see anything. So you get yourself all set up ahead of time. You kind of memorize your steps, and then you turn the lights off, you pop your film, blah, 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 blah. And it's all developed with silver. So the professor at the time was like, if you guys shoot metallic things, they'll look pretty good. And I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. Everybody's going to shoot the gymnasium or a park bench or a light post or some bullshit like that. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go, and that wrestling school that I went to with that kid is down this way. So I met up with them. And at the time, they were charging like this much money to train, right? This much money. And then when I saw him again, he's like, oh, well, the economy kind of stinks. Now we're charging this much money to train. I was like, oh, well, in that case, I'm start fanning out money. And he's like, well, hold on, take a minute and talk to your folks about it. Because I was probably 19 or 20 when I started. Yeah, because I'm 16 years, I'm 36 now. Yeah, so I think that checks out. And then we started, it was tax day. It was April 15th. And that was my first official day with Troy. And I just got to meet a whole lot of cool folks along the way who were all really helpful. And then you meet some folks who were not so helpful. But then I kind of had a pretty good idea of who those folks were, and then who to avoid. And then as you progress, you start to figure out, who can I get honest feedback from? Who can I ask to watch my match? Who will give me the truth? Who will BS me? And then where do you kind of want to start to work, and what places do you want to avoid, and all that kind of stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. you always have to be careful, like, especially like who you surround yourself with, especially like in any kind of industry, really. So I mean, like, it's a good thing that you know that, because some people just don't.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good kids who get taken advantage of. I had a buddy of mine who went to who started to train, and they lined everybody up. He's like, all right, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And my buddy was like, nope, F that. And he left. And sometimes it's cold like that, but there's also a little bit of kind of old school mentality in some of that, because it's, do we want to waste the time making the investment into that person? Is this going to work out? Is this kid a good fit for where we are, or who we are as a training facility? Because then, I go out and I represent those two guys. So I will always represent Mark and Troy, and anything I do will speak that of Mark and Troy. And you have to kind of realize some of that. And some folks today don't, because you can get, trained in some backyard by some guy and give him your money, and it's a total disaster. And sometimes that happens, and guys don't get any work because, Joey Jabroni's a jagoff, and nobody wants to work with that guy, and he shot at a bunch of people, and, he's got a really bad rep. So anybody who knows this guy or was associated with that guy doesn't get work here. And it's weird, and it's petty, and it's childish, but it all is super real, and it totally happens. And when you're not involved in it, it's hysterical. When you are involved in it, it's not the greatest thing. But luckily, I got involved in some of that really, really early on, and then I've really never had an issue since. So I got really lucky.
That's good. So I think me and Sabrina only ever seen you as like a face. But is there one that you prefer? Like, do you prefer to be a face over a heel, or is there times that you're like, I just want to be a douche?
I like working as a good guy because you get to make a little bit more money, or you have the opportunity to make more money, right? Because I can sell merch. And I feel like as a heel, you shouldn't be in a position to sell merchandise, because if you're a heel and you're selling merchandise, then you're not doing your job, At the same time, I also understand that this isn't the 60s or the 70s where the babyface will get a little bit of extra pay, and or the babyface will give the heel that he works a cut of his merch, because that babyface is only over because the heel is really good and doing his job. So if the babyface makes $100, he might give the heel 40. That shit doesn't happen anymore either. So I really enjoy working babyface. I feel like I get to have a little bit of it took me a while to figure out how to do that, but I enjoy it. I feel like, though, as a heel, I get to control the match better. It's my match, and I can pace myself a lot better. I get anxious as a babyface because I never know what the other guy kind of has planned or wants to do, and I'm always afraid that I'm just going to totally shit the bed and drop the ball and stake out the joint, and then piss that guy off and not give him a good match. And I can't remember a whole lot of stuff. Like I've never been a let's put 20 spots together kind of guy. It's always like we've got to finish, and maybe we'll do this to get to it. And what do you do, kid? Oh, okay. I do this, sir. What do you do? Okay, blah 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 blah. And then we kind of we work with them like, hey, maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that. We can hit this if it's there. We can do this if that's there. Hey, if I do this, then no, this is coming. And we kind of work back and forth, and then we kind of figure it out there. But I've definitely worked guys which I'm going to punch you 3 times. Listen, you're back to the ropes with my, I'll come and give you a shove, and then you go up underneath and then spin, and I can't. I start to get overwhelmed. I can't work that way efficiently. If somebody can call it to me like that out there, then that's fine. But like to have to sit there and by the way, I don't talk in the ring. Well, guess what, brother? This is what we're doing. I haven't been in that spot yet, thank God, because I would hate to actually have to do it to somebody. But if I could, like total creative control, I think I would wrestle as a babyface more, which I never thought I would say.
That's
no,
crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy though because like we talk about this a lot. We're like the baby face and heel of this podcast. Like she's very much of a baby face and much of a heel. So when people talk about that, I'm like, you're not gonna hurt our feelings either way. It's fine. But I don't know. I like the heels because they piss people off, and then I buy their merch, and then I give them money, and then I'm like, oh god, now I'm making them look like a good guy. You know?
Yep. See, you're killing the business. That's what happens.
You know, it's okay. I don't mind.
No, there is. I've also been in spots where, at some point, then you have to recognize when your heel is getting respected, because then it's time to flip the gun. And I got really lucky in Lewistown in a situation like that, where I was, we were really, really hot as, I was really hot as a heel. It didn't have to do much, didn't have to say much. We had really worked that town to get to the point where it's almost borderline TV reaction. Music hits, the crowd knows exactly what's going on, exactly what they're getting, but it's because we did all this work getting there. And then I ended up wrestling Tommy Dreamer in a series of matches where like they caned me, and we did the thing and I got beaten, and it ended up like the folks there, they were hip to the jive. It's not like they were a dumb crowd. They were a smart crowd, but they weren't smart marks. So they understood what we were giving them, and then they respected the fact that we were continuing to do that. So then when the time came for me to really get my comeuppance, they enjoyed that on a little bit of a different level. And then it was time to do a face turn, and it worked like magic. And then I ran into Dreamer 4 months later at another show, and he's like, "So are you the mayor of that town yet? They give me a key to the city?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, you would not believe, like they really, really like me. Like, I don't know what's wrong with them." Because I know what I'm doing, kid. And that was the conversation. But I mean, it was really crazy how it worked. And then you realize that it's the same stuff everywhere. As long as folks put in the work in a certain area, and you give the crowd what they can understand. Because if you give them too much, you're going to kill them. Because they don't care. They don't care about all these fancy schmancy TV guys, or they don't care about all these guys who are, all these super hip cats. They don't know who those folks are, so they're not as invested. And then that's then because that's all you do. You only bring those folks in, and then you kill the town. So we got really, really lucky up there.
No, yeah, definitely. I think that's also something like me and Sabrina would talk about, like what you said, like some shows will bring in like these big like stars or used to be stars, and like everyone's like, oh, well, that's nice, but we don't really know them. Like we don't know their like ring style in person, and like they don't interact with the crowd like some of like the indie wrestlers do. They're nice, and then we're all like a family. But like with them, they're like, I'm here for money, and then I'm gone. Yep. So it's like that's something me and Sabrina are like, we definitely prefer the indies over like those big time shows.
Which is where we all aspire to be. Pin me, pay me, and I will see you at the gas station.
I mean, that's why I like AXW so good, is because like they don't bring in like those like huge people like like Hulk Hogan, something like that. Like it's literally just all indie guys, and so it's like it's giving you guys a chance to really show off what you have. Where it's like if you do bring in that name, a lot of those tickets are coming from the person who's going to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean everybody's still there to see Matt Quay and Ian Bush, or Tommy Vex and Andy Header. It's cool that Jimmy Hart's going to be there. It's cool that Earl Hebner's going to be there, but a lot of that crowd is there to see Matt Quay and Tommy Vex and Ian Bush and maybe myself and Laszlo, but a lot of it is that whole place is towards Matt Quay. Matt Quay's on fire. So, but he went and he did the work to do all that. And same with Tommy, and the same with Mary Beth, same with Ian. They all performed at a level that they didn't perform at a year ago, and it shows. And that's why then those folks can go out and they can have those names can do their thing, and then the crowd is still there for the end of the match, because they want to see how Quay does, or they want to see how Tommy does, or they want to see how Heather does. So it's nice that that's still that the shows are still booked that way.
Yeah. And it's like a storyline thing too, because like Matt Quay now, like next show is gonna have the match against, who did he go against this past time? I am having a brain fart today. I don't know, but like they're like all the heels and all the baby faces kind of like one on each side of them and like pull them apart, and that's a storyline right there, because now people are like, we want to see them go against each other. That is what, I don't know about Harley, but that's what I love about indie wrestling. Is like, I want that storyline, because there are some companies that don't have storylines leading up to a match. They just kind of throw guys together, and that's cool, like whatever. But like, I like the whole, like, especially, you know, at AXW with the Matt Quay, and then there's at Smash Wrestling with other people, and like it's like they're building up, and then you're like, okay, now I want to see this match because you built it up so much, so now I want to see it end, or I want to see it like keep going, you know?
Yeah, and those companies that run often enough and can put their talent in a spot to do that are going to be successful like that. There's plenty of shows where it's, oh yeah, I wrestled this guy, 2 months ago in Birdsboro, right? And I was the heel and he was the face. And now the same company is going to run in Shenandoah, which is up north, and I'm the baby face and he's the heel. Yeah, how the hell is this gonna work? So it's tricky then when or hey, we're gonna put you with this guy because this kid's really over and he's a really good baby face. Yeah, that's great, but like I'm a baby face for you too. Just work heel tonight. Okay, but like I'll do it, but I'm not gonna like it, and or do you kind of call the audible yourself and go, hey, listen, brother, this is how we're gonna get this done because I need that merch money to go home, and because maybe the paying all that great, and I got to sell some shirts to get some gas in the tank to get the hell back to Albuquerque or right now you're working. But yeah, it's crazy. But those companies then, they start to cancel dates in March, April, May, and the companies that are consistent and can do that and sell some tickets, they start adding shows. Or hey, we're going to team up with this company and do XYZ, or we're going to work a benefit show, 3 or 4 matches, for a local business that just opened. We're going to help them kick off their, and a lot of these places, they sit there and they wait for people to come to them to advertise. And if you're interested, message us, or if you want to partner up, we can do XYZ. And I see this in, like the art community I follow too, is a lot of, hey, if anybody wants to work together on this project, let me know. Like, nah, F that. Like, if you want to work with somebody, contact that person and reach out to them. And I feel like sometimes that gets kind of fizzles out sometimes. And I think social media has a lot to do with that. I mean, I've worked for companies where it's like, guys, you guys have to push this on Facebook. You guys have to, yeah, that's great. But if you're just relying on Facebook to get tickets, like, we got a problem. The fact that, the promoter might live in Delaware and we're running a show in North Jersey, that's going to be an issue. So like the town has no idea what's going on. And I've been to shows where it's, hey, I'm looking for the building, blah, 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 blah. We have a wrestling show tonight. There's no wrestling in this town. No, yeah, it's at the church at the third and Walnut. Is there wrestling at the church tonight? Oh, yeah, we had no idea. Oh, yeah, it's 2 blocks over, make a left at the stop sign, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, well, I'm glad we drove 3.5 hours to get to this place. There ain't no advertising. So it definitely shows, and then the product and the photos that get taken. And then it takes a little bit of time, but then that's when all the boys start to, hey, brother, you're at that AXW. Hey, what's that all about? Hey, you wrestled for that Lancaster championship. Yeah, what's that all about, brother? How do I get in there? I'm message this guy, and just pass that buck. But then that's when all like the after guys, I would be willing to bet there's a boatload of folks who are messaging Ricardo after the show where he had 500 or 600 people, dudes inbox, oh, hey, brother, whatever you need, whatever I can do to help, blah, 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 blah. And some guys mean it 100%, and some guys just want that easy peasy Japanese booking. So then it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, where you really gotta figure out when you're getting worked and how to read some folks and know when there's, you know, some treachery afoot, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I think she knew.
Charlie, that's it. Game over.
Yeah, she knew it was going to happen. Either that or she just has something to do, which is fine. So I know that we've seen you personally just working with Laszlo.
Mhm.
Like, how did that come about? How did that team come about?
So how PG is this?
We honestly, it doesn't matter. We've had people cuss and everything on here.
So woo. Let's see.
That's not a hard question, but apparently to you it is, which is fine.
It's not a hard question. I'm debating how
you want to answer it.
I want to be in my response because I don't want to shortchange you and I don't want to dance around the question. So when I got divorced, Laszlo and I started to chat about getting together, working out. He said, Bubba, now that, you know, he's getting the gym, you know, start to eat, we'll go to some shows. So we started doing that. We'd go out, we'd party, him and his roommate at the time. You know, we'd go and we'd hang out, we'd get some drinks, we'd go to some clubs, we'd go to some bars, we'd hang out and chill, watch some hockey, hit the gym. And then it turned, he goes, you know, we're having such like good fun. We have to be a tag team. You know, we have to be like these two studs who just go around and drink and smoke cigars and smoke stogies and just eat and drink and just beat the shit out of people. But you know, we could like, yeah, we should do that. That would be a lot of fun. Like, we're having a good time. They would see us having a good time. They'd have a good time, and we should totally do that. And then it went nowhere, right? As many things do. And then we were in Harrisburg for a show, and I go, you know what? I bet you if there's one place we could do this, it would be here. So we talked to the promoter. I go, hey, I was thinking about, you know, what do you think about me and this guy in a tag team? Because we're gonna have you guys work each other every night. You're the two of the biggest guys on the roster. I go, yeah, but like, what if we're a tag team and, you know, we kind of go out and just kind of like an odd couple. Like, I'm the dirty, skeezy, mischievous one, and you know, he's the foreigner who doesn't really know English, and I'm teaching him bad words, and you know, we can do all these promos and we can have all this fun with it, and you know, what do you think? And well, you know, let's kind of see how it goes first. So we worked with another tag team, and you know, the match wasn't super great. It wasn't awful. It wasn't a stinker. But it was definitely two guys having fun against a really over gimmick. And you know, I look back and I thought maybe that wasn't the best team to work. Because you know, it didn't do anything for them. It didn't up their kind of stock. It didn't establish us because we haven't wrestled as a team there since. And then AXW was the first, like, you know, I said to Vox, I go, hey, I'd really like to, you know, if you're willing, you know, work a tag match with Laszlo. And he goes, yeah, can you be at the building in 3 hours? You know, we showed that. So yeah, like I can do what's going on. I said, oh yeah, just, you know, he's just going to get boot raped and just come out and save him. So it's what we did. And then Kevin was there, and it was the first, and Harley's back. You know, it was the first show that Kevin was there for. And he was like, you know, we're going to be changing some stuff up. Which when we hear that is never a good thing because we're all freaking out that we're going to lose jobs. And then Kevin kind of pulled us aside after the next show, and he's like, hey, listen, you know, we'd like to put you guys together as a tag team. This is the direction the company's going. This is what we'd like to do with you and where we see you guys in the mix of all this, because you are included in the mix of all this. And, you know, just go out there, have fun, kick the shit out of people, and do your thing. And we were like, oh, man, like this is it. Like this is the chance, you know, that we get. So then we really started, you know, and it's crazy because he's such a nerd, and he absolutely hates nerds. Like he hates like dorks and geeks and pencil neck geeks. But he is the like a giant nerd, right? Hockey, Star Wars, like he's a total nerd, and I like art and comic books. So we're thinking, well, how do we want to do this? Do we want to really odd couple this thing, and like I would take him to a strip club and lie about what's in there to get him in, or something like we would go to a restaurant and I'd have him say all these dirty words to the waiter because he doesn't know what they are, and I'm just sitting there laughing, and then we get thrown out of the restaurant. So that we had all these ideas, and it was just like, well, yeah, how do we shoot this? How do we get this done? And he's like, "Here's Bubba. Let's just effing do it." So that's kind of where we are. So we have the chance to run some stuff by Kevin. He gives the yay or the nay, and then we do what we think we can get away with, and maybe apologize, and I'm sure we'll do something that we shouldn't do, and we'll hear about it and we'll apologize for it. But it's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So there's a really good group of folks in AXW who we can bounce some ideas off of. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's what we think the crowd will respond to in our match, in this match, in this spot with these folks, with this crowd, and we have to make the best decision we think that we can to get the match across, to get the night across, and then depending on where we are in the card, because it's a very built show, so we want to make sure that we're not outshining or kind of blowing the crowd up too early, so that they can still enjoy the rest of the show. We don't want to be selfish, but we do want to get over, and we do want to have the best match of the night. We want to have the best match on the card, but we also, at least, and this is just me, I'm not speaking for him, but we also want to make sure we're doing enough to get asked back, and that we don't get fired in the process, and all that other stuff.
Definitely. No, I'm guessing, Sabrina, like that was the only thing when I got kicked out. That was the only thing you went over, right?
Yeah, it's like how.
Yeah, she's like, now that Harley's gone, we can ask the serious questions.
No, I did not say that. Get out of here.
Wow, Sabrina.
I gotta go.
But if you were to get a call from AEW and WWE, which one would you take up?
Like in a perfect world where I'm 6'6", 300 pounds with negative 4% body fat, probably WWE. But I mean, if we're talking about things that don't matter, I think my style is better suited for their product than AEW. And when I grew up, I never dreamt of being the AEW World Champion. And there's a lot of guys. WWE is still the mecca. I think until proven otherwise, we all grew up wanting to be Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Jake the Snake, Undertaker, Kane, John Cena, Steve Austin, Triple H, The Rock. We didn't. None of us grew. Sting, DDP. None of us grew up wanting to be. It's no jab at those guys because they're phenomenal athletes. But nobody grew up wanting, I can't wait to be the AEW TNT Dynamite champion or whatever the case may be. Everybody went, heavyweight champ, WWE, point and sign, all that stuff. That was always the dream. The goal might change along the way. But the dream, I think, was always, for most of us, again, not speaking for everybody, but most of us, I think the dream was headline Mania in the Garden, brother, or whatever your favorite arena was growing up.
Yeah, definitely. And like saying that, is there ever a place that you'd wish you could wrestle, like a dream venue?
I would love to go back to the Lancaster Host. That was a really fun building. I mean, there's nothing where I haven't been. But like ultimate, yeah, I mean, I would love to wrestle in Madison Square Garden. I would love to wrestle at, in Philly, the Wachovia, still the Wachovia Center. I would really love to wrestle at Santander, right down the road from my house. Because then none of my buddies will have an excuse not to show up. And as I've started to wrestle more in Hamburg, I mean, I'm from Hamburg originally. As I start to wrestle there more and more, I get more and more buddies that show up. So that's pretty cool. Including my buddy Trav, who got me into this whole freaking thing, which is it's all his fault. So he should be there. And he brought, he just had a baby. He and his wife Wendy had just had a baby, and brought their newborn, infant, a 4-day-old baby to the wrestling show, which was awesome. And my ex-wife and I did the same thing with our son when he was first born. He was born on the 27th. I think that following weekend, we had a show in Lancaster. He was like 2 or 3 days old. We stopped at a Chili's on the way home from the hospital and sat down for lunch, and we put him in the little co-sleeper and ran the vacuum. Like, get used to it, kid. We go out, we do stuff. You better sleep. And it was cool, and it's cool to see all my buddies growing up and doing stuff. And then the fact that they're able to still make some time for me is really cool, and I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So Sabrina, like, with him as like a wrestler, who do you see facing him?
Oh God. I'm gonna go straight for it. I'm gonna say Alpha. I want to see him go against Alpha Jr. for sure.
I had that vibe that you were gonna pick someone like big and tough, like Alpha.
Who just beat the shit right out of me. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I was gonna be like, well, they already faced the golden era, but then I was like, no, because Mr. Goalie doesn't know how to keep his stupid knuckles out of his pants. So, in his pants, I should say. So, but no, I think Alpha's just like such a big guy, and I think that that would give a good vibe to me. I don't know. How about you, Harley?
I can't even remember his in-ring name because we only call him the one name, but I'm gonna say the pig mask man from
Phil Insane.
Yeah, that's his name. We always make our own names for them, so it's like, I don't remember his name. This is what we call him.
This pig mask guy that we saw at a show once. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
we did have him on our podcast, and he didn't come with the pig mask on. It was like right behind him, but it was creepy because like it was like peering right behind him, just staring at us the whole time.
That's creepy.
So, yeah, no, but as a tag team, Harley has him and Laszlo. Who could you see them going against?
Oh, I don't know. Primal Fear.
You think so?
I mean, I think Laszlo and him will beat the shit out of Primal Fear.
For
I think
sure.
it'll be a good match. What about
I think you know me. You know what I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick my ride or die championship material. I can't go. Well, I could go against them sometimes, but I don't want to.
I mean, I can't, but I mean, after this past weekend, I think they're gonna continue to get beat the shit out of. They got beat by 4 Samoans, obviously.
Well, they're a different breed of people. They're I think they're all genetically designed to be pro wrestlers. So that's just naturally what comes to the Samoan culture, is just destruction and whooping ass and headbutts that they don't feel because their heads are made out of steel.
That's what happened. That's what happened this weekend. Like they put on a great show. Alpha, of course, runs this amazing school, and like all of his students are just so well trained. But when it came down to the main event, he went against some of his students, and it was crazy. Like Harley and I kept looking at each other, going, "Is this happening?" And then like their little manager came into the ring and got like body slammed by 3 of them, and then like a moonsault. Is that what I said? Like a backhanded somersault. And went right on to the manager, crushed his shoulder. I like it in real life. I'm like, Jesus, this is how like things could go wrong at any time in the ring. Like,
yeah, it's it's not, it ain't tiddlywinks. It's not fairy dust on ice. I mean, it's big meat slapping big meat, and sometimes shit goes wrong.
I mean, I don't like sometimes obviously, yeah, things will go wrong. I think, but that's also a thing. Like as like being a manager, you have to learn to take those equal bumps as you would as a wrestler, and like
Absolutely. You know, the heel manager, when and this is, so I worked with a guy, and I'm gonna trash talk him, so I'm not gonna name him, and he'll know who he is. He is notorious for weaseling his way out of bumping when we're heels. And it got to the point where I was like, listen, if you're not going to bump, we're not working together. Like, this is the deal. We're heels. You're the heel manager. We're not in some, 10-month program or a 3-month program. We got one night. We're going to do this one thing. You're going to take a shot on the apron or you can get bucked. Oh, I'm not doing this with you. And then, he didn't bump, and then we worked together the next month anyway. So it was, I was trying to leverage our friendship over him getting bumped. But you're right. Those heel managers should know how to bump. They should know how to talk. And they should know how to do it. They should be workers. That everybody everybody on that side of the curtain should be a worker. From the guy ringing the bell to the timekeeper, your commentators. I mean, they should all be workers, because we've all been to shows where the guy ringing the bell is the promoter's daughter's boyfriend's, I don't know, cousin or something like that, and you have this main event match that has a great blow off. The babyface goes over, big pop, huge reaction, and the announcer sells it, and new, and then there's fucking dun dun dun. He hits the bell wrong. It sounds like shit, blows the whole spot, and it ruins that moment. Imagine the big WrestleMania match, and babyface goes over, and the title changes hands, and there's vindication, and the heel gets his comeuppance, and the bell ringer, the bell gets screwed up, or the lighting doesn't work, or the wrong music plays. Like, that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what is going to be on your website homepage when you go to work. Is faux pas at WrestleMania, plays wrong music, shows that the show is rigged, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to talk about the fact that these guys went on to put on a 4-month or a 6-month or a year-long program that culminated in a kick-ass match with a killer finish. No, we're going to talk about the fact that, promoters, daughters, boyfriends, kids, cousin, nephew out there screwed the pooch and kind of blew the whole spot for everybody.
I think that's one thing that Harley and I had. Like, we have one story that comes to our head is they did like the 10 bell salute for that wrestler at AXW, but we also did it at UCW, and we were in the ring, right? And like 10 bells came, okay? 13 bells later, like it just stopped. And me and Harley were like, interesting. Okay, 1, 2, like, so at AXW, I kid you not, it would ring. We would count with our fingers.
Oh, I did the same thing on the apron. I was standing next to Lazo, and I go, what do you think the over-under is on this getting botched up, And he looks at me and goes, what do you mean? I go, well, it's a 10 bell. Well, what if we only get 9? He goes, oh. And then, ding! 1. Okay, I think we're good. But then there's always that ding, and then there's a ding. Well, no, dud, and that's the other thing. And when you do something like that, and you have somebody who was really respected and really revered in the community, and people genuinely loved and was a solid cat, to have something like that, and then it gets, it puts a little stink on it. Not a whole lot of good comes from those situations, and then then you're the guy who, ruined XYZ for ABC on show WTFW, whatever the case may be. But it totally happens. And it happens because people aren't trained. They're not workers, and they don't understand how to do it because they don't know what we're doing. And then that's where the frustration comes in, and that's where sometimes some of the egos can get the best of us, and we kind of got to check ourselves a little bit, or we just beat the piss out of that guy. One or the other. It's one or the other.
Like, we'll meet you in the parking lot. Like, no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, hey, there's mistakes in this industry, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like, some things are fine, but as a wrestler, like, do you think that it'll come a time that you'll call it quits because of an injury or because the desire will die out?
I mean, I've quit 3 times already, so that might not be the best question for me.
He goes,
but-
there will be a 4th time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and all 3 or both times I tried to stop, I was hurt. And I thought, well, you know, like I want to still be able to do stuff with my kid and all this other stuff. And then, you know, the last time it was like, yeah, you know, like I'm older, I'm beaten up, I'm carrying more weight. I'm not really working out. I'm not really, you know, training in the ring. So I'm not doing myself any favors. And I'm going through custody, and I would much rather spend a weekend with my boy than I would be in that house. And then, you know, one weekend he goes, "Hey, Daddy, when are we going to a wrestling show?" I was like, "Well, that's it, boy. That's it. Time to get the bag out," you know. And now I go to shows, and all my shows are weekends that the kid is with his mom. So you're doing just get my ass kicked for you, and you ain't got a goddamn venue, boy. But I think it will be. I think it'll be because I don't want to do it anymore. I'd be really upset to have if it was taken from me. I'd much rather give up on it than have it be taken from me, because then I can kind of pick and choose when I do it. Yeah, I think yeah, I'd much rather call it than have somebody call it for me. I think most guys would do that, and most guys will. I'll go until the wheels fall off. And, you know, again, some guys say that and mean it, and some guys say it and do it. And then some guys say it, and then something happens, and it's, you know, it's I can't anymore. It's not, you know, it's not there anymore. You know, COVID changed it for me. You know, I didn't feel the need to go out and have to be that guy every weekend. But then also, I mean, I know guys who, nope, till the wheels fall off, brother. I'm until I die in the ring. And then at like 32 or 34, he just up and quit the business and joined the Army. And now he flies like Black Hawk or Apache helicopters for the Army. And it was a total life change, you know, at, you know, 30 something years old. And he's doing great. He's crushing it, killing bad guys and serving the country and all that stuff. But it's weird how things happen and then perspective hits, and it hits everybody at different times. But yeah, I would much rather say, you know what, if I got to do a lot, I got to do some cool stuff, meet some cool people, go some cool places, I'm okay with that.
Now, like, if your son would ever come to you and be like, Dad, I want to become a wrestler, like, would that be like a support full on, or would that be like, son, I don't know if you really want to do that?
And I think most people were like, oh, well, what do you have to say for young and up and coming people who want to join the business? Don't buy ticket. You know what the wrestling business needs more than workers? Fans. Be a fan. Buy ticket. You got some extra money, buy your boy shirts. The wrestling business is a cold, dark, dirty, cruel bitch of a life. You have to travel, and everybody shits on you. There's no appreciation. Your friends secretly judge you behind your back. Your spouse's friends will judge you behind your back until they realize that you can make a little money or you're really, really good. And you just have to have the conversation early with yourself of what do you want out of it. You know, if my kid came to me, I'd be like, all right, well, listen, then this is what you need to do before we can get in the ring. You need to look like, you know, Patrick, before you want to get in the ring, you need to look like that before you can even get in the ring. You need to look like, because if you don't look like that, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to have a whole lot of success. Because despite what anybody else I think will say is you have to have a physique, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, you have to have a presence, and it's tough to do that if you look like a slob from Walmart, and it's tough to do that if you look like a 12-year-old boy. But you've got to have a presence, and you have to be confident. You have to know how to carry yourself, and you have to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. because all the other stuff is just other stuff. It's not, you know, sweet precision, soft collision in the right spot. Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, you have to be a little extra. And then do you have the temperament? Do you have the mental, toughness to go out there and drive 3 or 4 hours to a show and then drive 3 or 4 hours back and then get to work the same day, or come from work to go to a show and all that other stuff, because wrestling don't pay the bills for anybody. And then to do all that, and then, are you prepared enough to not eat on the way to the building, not eat on the way back from the building, travel with folks because you can't pay for gas or because you can't pay for tolls or something like that. The training, I'm a firm believer in you can train anywhere initially, but then if you want to have that conversation with yourself is, what do I want out of wrestling? What do I want to do? Do I want to go to Japan? Do I want to go to Mexico or Puerto Rico? Do I want to go overseas in Europe? Do I want to go to Canada? Do I want to get signed by one of the big three, right? Ring of Honor, is that my goal? Is that my get to? The hot areas here, at MCW. Do I want to be, independent guy, MCW, and maybe 2 or 3 other local stuff? You have to have that conversation with yourself. You got to be honest, and that's what a lot of folks, I think, might not be, is honest. I mean, I'm on the wrong side of 35. I'm on the wrong side of 280 pounds. I'm on the wrong side of surgeries. I'm on the wrong side of memory. I'm on the right side of spray tan. I'm on the right side of, talking, but all the important stuff is in the rearview window. And I'm aware of that. I'm also aware that my role is to elevate other folks, the last couple of years of Chris Jericho's run in the Fed, he was just there to put guys over and establish guys as, he beat the first ever undisputed champ. Oh, look at that Fandango guy. Oh, he beat Chris Jericho, first undisputed champ, beat The Rock and Steve Austin in the same night. That's that's what I think I'm here to do is elevate guys and have a good match with anybody and get somebody from one spot to another as a singles guy. And the tag team thing is super new to me, and it's super intimidating. I mean, I don't know how those really good tag teams and those matches really, really operate, because I'd never really studied them a whole lot. So it's this whole brand new world of tag team wrestling that I'm watching and getting into and trying to learn from and pick brains of my buddies who are tag guys, who are trying to talk me out of it because, bro, your legs are so big, you just be a singles guy. I don't want to. I want to have fun. I want to do this thing that I didn't think was an option for me, which is ridiculous because it's not like I haven't been in tag team matches. They just didn't mean anything. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is I want to do stuff that is fun and it makes sense and it means something and nobody looks stupid. Everybody elevates, or we can help elevate a story. And nobody loses any face. Nobody loses any kind of traction. And I want to have fun. And I want to maybe not travel a whole lot. Be kind of close to home. And if it means turning a booking down that's an hour and a half away or 2 hours away, then I feel comfortable doing that. I don't need to kind of whore myself out to these companies anymore and take bumps on the floor because I did that 6 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that. But I don't know, it all kind of just, if I can keep doing that for some time, then I'll keep doing that. And if it changes and the situation to not do that isn't on the table, then I like to sit at home and draw. But I'm totally fine with that.
Oh, yeah, there's been times that I've gone to wrestling shows. Do you remember this, Harley? And I'm like, oh, I gotta go to work right away. I gotta be there till 7 a.m. And Harley's like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I wanted to be here, but I also have to go to work and pay the bills. So I would go to the wrestling thing till 10 o'clock, and then I'd go right to work. And I don't know how I do it, but I still do it. And it's crazy.
And it's, it's good to do that every now and again. But for that to be normal, right? That's when that conversation needs to kick in. Like, what do I need? Well, I need a vehicle to get to and from these shows. And, maybe I'm a little clumsy, so I need that health insurance.
That's me.
Right now we have a dilemma, right? Because and again, I can get hurt doing nothing wrong for myself, right? It's if the other guy is sloppy, if the ring is a total dumpster fire, there's a lot of things working against me, but that's where that conversation really, I think, kicks in for most folks. It sucks because it's always when something bad happens. It's never like, hey, I just got picked up to do extra work for a week with WWE or with AEW or whatever the case may be. Oh, dude, that's awesome! Like, what they say at work. Oh shit, I didn't tell him yet. I'm not every time. I can't. Oh shit, I could get fired for this. Oh, now we got to make some decisions, and that's when it gets hairy for most folks.
No, yeah, definitely. So, I think you're probably one of the most, straightforward people that said that. You're well, you got to make sure you have, things in check before you get involved. Because a lot of the wrestlers are just do it. You only live once. Nothing wrong could come out of it. When there are, a lot of things that can come from it, like injuries and everything. So, I think you're one of, you're yeah, well, if you want to do it, go for it. But here's some things that you gotta be aware of, and there's gonna be injuries and job stuff.
Yeah, and it'll only help, right? To have all that stuff done beforehand will only help that person get to wherever they want to get to. And there's some guys I know, that will take a job around a wrestling schedule. Yeah, I work out in the gym from this time to this time, this many days a week, and I get in the ring and I train these days from this time to this time. So I took a part-time gig at a convenience store here, working third shift, or a gas station here, and then I work like a retail job here. And I've been there for a while, so they give me the weekends off, and then in the event that depending on where a show is, maybe I'll get to the show a day early, and maybe I'll Uber in the area for a little bit, or I'll DoorDash in the area for a little bit. Or, I took a job as a personal trainer or an instructor for pottery throwing or something that will allow you the flexibility to do all that. Or, hey, I was living, I owned a house and blah, 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 blah. Well, I sold my house and I rented a small, 1-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom apartment downtown in the city, so I can, kind of get to things a little closer. I got rid of my car and I travel with this guy, I travel with that guy now. So, or I travel with people to avoid spending money on my car. All those things are only going to help folks. And some guys can make that work and some folks can't. It all kind of then it comes down to personality and kind of grit and drive and determination and all the cliche sports stuff. But some guys make it work and have no issues. And then, they still don't go anywhere. They don't get what they want out of business, brother. So it all comes down to at some point that conversation with what do I want? Where do I want to get to? What am I doing now to get there?
No, yeah, definitely. But Sabrina, all I was saying was I think he was one of the most straightforward people because wrestlers come on and you ask them about advice. What would they say? They're just do it and blah 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 blah. But he's well, you can do it, but you're gonna get injured and you gotta travel. So there's things that come along with it.
Yeah, I physically could not do the traveling aspect of it just because I like my job here and it's good money. I'm not trying to go and travel for a show. So no.
No, definitely. So I think me and Sabrina both know, but if people don't know, do you sell merch and where can they find it?
I do. I sell drawings, t-shirts, stickers. T-shirts are hairy. I'm in the process now of trying to get some more. But again, how do you get merch? Well, you got to have that job. You got to make the money so you can buy the merch so that you can sell the merch. So I'm trying to find some affordable stuff where I don't have to charge $25 for a t-shirt or $30 for a t-shirt. And some of that looking takes time and vetting some folks out who've ordered there. So I have 2 or 3 different shirt manufacturers that I'm trying to work with in terms to get some stuff made. And I just need to, sit my fat ass down and pull the trigger on it, honestly. But I also want to make sure too that it's the right stuff and the right designs. And I'm a little nitpicky when it comes to my stuff because it's all my stuff and I design it and I draw it and I want to make sure it's good quality then too. I don't want people to buy something from me and it turns to crap. People can message me on Facebook or Instagram for any merch, any custom drawings that they would so choose to require. And as soon as I pull the trigger on t-shirts, I'll put that out there for everybody.
Definitely. And you said they can message you on Instagram and Facebook. Now, where can they find you on Instagram and Facebook?
Like at what?
Give me a minute. Let me look it up and find it. If you search Ed House, no, maybe not because there's 2 of me. If you look for Ed House on Facebook, it's a photo of me with the Cat Snaps photo. Cat Snaps is the photographer that is at the AXW show, and she's kind of starting to get all over now. There's another Facebook of mine that I don't have access to because I was locked out of it. And it's a picture of me holding my tummy, wrestling the Red Scorpion. It's like a Mortal Kombat. It's like a Mortal Kombat kind of fight pose screen. That is not a good Facebook account. However, I am at Spa Ghetto, like the Ghetto, Ghetto, Edo, EDDO. So SPAGHETTOEDDO on Instagram. And you can search Ed House for Facebook or go to the AXW page and anything that they have me tagged in, folks can hit me up there.
There you go.
I'm over here like he's explaining his Facebook, and I'm over here like I don't have Facebook, so like this is great, guys. Just oh man.
But no, yeah. Thank you.
Do you have any shows coming up?
I think I'm supposed to be somewhere March 3rd, although nobody has officially contacted me for that show. And then after that is AXW in April. Possibly Lewistown. There's some kind of things may or may not be happening with Seven Mountains, but primarily I'm wrestling kind of exclusively right now for AXW, which isn't bad. It's a half hour away. I know the town, I know the people, and I'll take it.
Definitely.
There you go. Harley, would you like to do the closing for us?
But thank you so much for coming on this cold, windy day. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I keep looking back because my 2 windows and it's rattling because the wind is so bad here. I'm like, dang.
No, my windows are rattling a little bit.
I just thought somebody was breathing heavily. I didn't know if it was me at first, but my heater keeps kicking on, so I bring in my own noise.
No, but yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It was fun. You were definitely on the list after we seen you at AXW. We were like, we got Laszlo, so we have to get you. We finally got the card.
Well, okay, let's just put this out there. Before the podcast even started, I said to Harley, I have to keep my camera at a certain level because literally I'm supporting.
I wasn't gonna put that out there, but yeah, you definitely.
I'll put myself out there for sure. Yeah. For sure, yeah. I have to because I don't have any of your merch.
Not yet.
So I had to feel like I was kind of supporting you by supporting your partner as well.
I think my Laszlo shirt is either in my gear bag or in my wash. Otherwise, I would have worn it too. Because he's got a cool shirt. It's a badass shirt. You know, I don't know who made them or what he paid for them, but like they're cool, and I'm kind of jealous that I don't have like a cool shirt. I got a bad haircut today, and I'm feeling a little way about it, and I don't have a cool shirt.
But thank you all for watching. It was fun while it lasted. We will be back on Wednesday.
Next Wednesday for like an open mic kind of thing.
I guess you're gonna have to come and find out and see what it's all about.
You're gonna have to come and see what shows up, who shows up, if someone shows up. We'll see. Maybe me and Harley won't even show up. We don't even know yet.
I guess you'll just hop right in and guess you gotta just see what we're talking about. But then on Thursday we will be back with I'm gonna butcher this name. We'll be back with Cabana Man Dan at 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Central. Right? I think something along those lines.
Got the name, butchered the time. That's a win. That's a win.
Just look on our Instagram page, guys. Everything's on our Instagram page, full on out. Okay. Harley and I have had long days.
Long day. But thank you all for watching. And like we said, we'll be back next week. Bye.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.